I just wanted to mention that I learned so much from this book and I gained so much. And you might think that it's funny that, Korean guy like me is talking about the Gita, Hinduism, and all that. A person who has given up all desires for sense gratification, who lives free from desires. Without the principles of Brahmacharya, I never would have fasted. I never would have been exposed to what. In the last video that I made in Korean, I talked extensively about my inspiration. Possibly one of my biggest inspiration for the past 5 years or so is this book, and a lot of concepts from Hinduism, and this is the Bhagavad Gita. And I'm not a Hindu. I don't follow the Hindu. I grew up Christian. I think I talked about it multiple times. But I'm pretty open-minded, and when it comes to kind of cherry picking the different valuable principles I see in different religions, and sometimes commonalities between religions, and that's why I did those fasting videos as well. And to be completely honest with you, I never would have developed the self-discipline and the initiative and the motivation to fast or even make these videos or make changes in my life. For example, the 40-day fast, 30-day fast, all those were pretty grueling, extremely stressful, especially in the beginning. But anyways, the concepts that I picked up, some of it kind of started on the internet when I was surfing and looking for like answers to my like health problems, mental problems, and this thing called Brahmacharya kept coming up on the internet. So I still don't have many Hindu friends, Hindi friends. I don't know how you say it. Do you say Hindu or Hindi? Or I have a Hindu friend. I don't know. But you know, when I started implementing some of the ideas in the principle of Brahmacharya and some of the things that are mentioned in the Gita, I noticed these transformations in my life. I mean, you could see them. I made videos about these, not just the fast, but over the past 5 years, my career changed, my health changed, my mind changed. Talked about dopamine levels a lot. My dopamine sensitivity changed, the way I interact with people. Yogis, these gurus of ancient Hinduism practiced for like thousands of years, kind of the principles of wisdom back in the ancient days, obviously originating out of India, and based on history, Buddhism is a branch that divided out of that Hinduist India, and then spread through rest of East Asia, and that's why we're so familiar. And personally, me as a Korean, so familiar with Buddhist principles. But when we trace back to the roots of what Hinduism was talking about, and now I'm not that it really rings true. Many of the valuable principles, and I'm not trying to convert anybody to Hinduism. I definitely don't agree with everything that is preached in Hinduism, especially because many religions are very old, and there's no way to prove whether things happen, whether the characters and whether the stories were all real. So I try to separate the what's the expression? Something about the chaff. Try to separate the truth from the rest of it. So that's why I'm going to read some of my favorite verses that I found in the book, and they are mostly centered around the principles of avoiding sensual gratification and paying attention to how your five senses interact with the mind, how reducing our attachment to sensual pleasure, to taste, vision, hearing, everything, and especially the sexual urge. We can, instead of focusing on those urges and senses and pleasures, disciplining ourselves in those senses, and instead converting that energy into something that we can use to unlock our own life's potential. I'm not explaining it very well. Obviously, other Hinduist texts and other people do a very much better job. There were communities like Retention SR on the internet, Brahmacharya, NoFap. NoFap is a kind of basically a modern internet Reddit version of practicing what the Hinduism was preaching back in the day. So it's basically about disciplining our mind and also avoiding and restraining our sexual impulse, because not that it's like an evil thing to have. Obviously, we are human. We have the urge to mate, reproduce. That's been the operating motto of humans: is to survive, pass on your genes, by having sex with the opposite gender, make babies, and then you die. So that's how obviously we're all here on Earth, overpopulating it. But religions like this, and not just Hinduism, but there are versions of that teaching in Buddhism and other religions as well, and Christianity. Jesus and Judaism talk extensively about that as well. Controlling lust is the key to the fruit of the Spirit, among other things. But there's definitely a common theme of how how controlling and disciplining our senses and urges give us power, give us joy. It's the key to enlightenment, nirvana. It's the key to the fruit of the Spirit. It's the key to, the Gita mentions, the Krishna consciousness. I know that a lot of people watching on YouTube are Indian. I saw that the audience demographic of YouTube audience is huge population of Indian people. So I kind of thought that you might think that it's funny that, Korean guy like me is talking about the Gita, Hinduism and all that. So perhaps it's not that valuable to some of you, but I learned so much from this book. I just wanted to mention that I learned so much from this book and I gained so much. And this is kind of my way of showing appreciation, I guess, paying tribute, paying kudos, because without the principles of Brahmacharya, I never would have fasted. I never would have been exposed to what retention is, and the importance of SR, transmutation, controlling our senses and our urges. I never would have realized any of that. Well, first of all, without the internet, but second of all, without the teachings of Hinduism still remaining in modern day. So I'm going to read to you some of my favorite verses. A person who has given up all desires for sense gratification, who lives free from desires, who has given up all sense of ownership and is devoid of false ego, can attain real peace. The self-controlled yogi, constantly engaged in yoga practice, becomes free from all material contamination and achieves the highest stage of perfect happiness in transcendental loving service to the Lord. There are 3 gates leading to hell: lust, anger, and greed. Every sane man should give these up, for they lead to the degradation of the soul. The yogi whose mind is fixed on God attains the highest perfection of transcendental happiness, and this person is beyond passion. He realizes his identity with the Supreme God, and thus he's freed from all reactions to past deeds. So all I wanted to share with you today. I'm definitely an otaku when it comes to all this spiritual stuff, studying different religions and practicing some of those principles in life. And thank you everyone for watching, and I'll continue to make content. Hopefully interesting to some of you, definitely interesting to me. You can see that I'm having so much fun just talking about this stuff. And some people think I'm a freak because not everybody's interested in this kind of topic, but I hope you enjoy, and I'll definitely continue to make more English content as well on YouTube. Bye everyone.